Hello, I'm back again for another one of these little talks where I talk for 10 minutes to myself and not sound absolutely bonkers and send to the insane asylum where Joker is. How that's a segue. The Joker movie. That was quite the good movie. I love that movie. I don't know why I watched with my dad. My dad fell asleep on the couch because it was just that good. And I I don't know. I think I just like connected with the Joker. I know that's kind of weird, cringy to say, and I might be crazy, but he was he shows like he's this teenager and stuff's happening to him. Then he goes to like the police station. Then he says things. I don't really remember everything, but you know they don't believe him, or they think he's crazy. So then he's made to think that he is crazy because people around him think he's crazy. It kind of makes you start to think like, oh shit, like crazy is something that can actually happen to anyone. And I like that because, like it really showed the process in there. And that's kind of what I liked it for. And I was like, okay, now I understand that. I would need to rewatch it again to really fully remember what it was, but I really liked the one scene where he goes to the police station and no one believes him, or he's in the medical mental area and no one even really talks to him or kind of shrugs him off. I mean, it was a very popular movie, so I'm sure someone's seen it here, but it, it's just a rewatch type movie. It's really good. It's one of those things that stick in my mind. Like, there's a lot of movies that kind of go in, go out, and I never remember it ever again. But how I watch movies is I usually watch ones I know I'm gonna like. So I usually remember most movies I watch. It's those Netflix random movies that I just ended up stop watching completely, like those random movies that I mean to me aren't really the best and they kind of get flushed out real quick. I don't know. I don't really like most Netflix movies nowadays. They're kind of eh. Lord of the Rings, that's something I love, but I literally watch that like every year. I love Lord of the Rings. It if I was to go into my passions, I would definitely be like the top movie for my entire life. That movie just has all these. It's kind of the same reason I like RTS games. Is it kind of started with that? You see all these units or people on screen, and then I'm like, what the heck? How did they get this much people on screen? And I mean, I know now that it's like CGI or whatever kind of technology they used that no one else seems to use. Apparently, I don't know why, or maybe some have, but not as well. And it was just super cool to see like all these different factions and in their large numbers, like the elves or the orcs, and their different colors they look like when they're all together. And I liked like all of that, and the obviously the battles with the large number of people on screen. And I'm just like, okay, this is a straight up battle. This is epic. And there's definitely no movie that's ever matched that, like for me. And, I mean, it was like Sparta. I remember some scenes in there, but Lord of the Rings is like really just keys in on that large number of people, and I've never seen it to that scale and look that cool. That's that's pretty much why it segues into me liking RTSs. And a lot of people don't like RTSs, and I want to post and do stuff with RTSs, but it's kind of a dying genre. Is there any movies that people love, that they watch every single year? that they will always come back to is their favorite movie. And you have to tell me that. I love to talk about movies. I like even a month or sorry, uh before when I like a few years ago, I'm kind of losing track. I love to watch shows with my friend. Every week, we would always just watch a show or a movie, and we would just act like critics, and we'd just be like, "Oh, I like this because that," and I felt like I ended up becoming a, like, I don't know, like this top tier critic. Really, it was just like I was very passionate about it, and I kind of forgot what I was trying to segue this into, but I'm very well versed in shows and movies and all that kind of stuff for the last couple of years. I haven't really watched the new Star Wars stuff like Andor and all like Obi-Wan Kenobi. I heard wasn't particularly good. However, like I can definitely tell like good voice acting. That really just makes or breaks something for me nowadays. Because if it doesn't have good voice acting, then why do I care about the character? I don't really get immersed in them, and to me, that is like the most important part whenever I watch anything. Because Game of Thrones, right? Game of Thrones has the best voice acting, and I loved. There's a reason you love all the characters in that show, because every character has not only good personalities, and every single character for their personalities, like they all had amazing, but their voice or their lines were just very. Not only did it feel like you were part of the show and in the show, but it definitely carried weight. Like a lot of these things that these characters say, like you don't realize it until like the end of a season, right? And then you're like, oh shit, like all this different stuff he said leading up to this point. And then I loved Game of Thrones for its like finale seasons where it always end on like a banger. And I was like, holy crap. There's so many things I could just talk days and days about Game of Thrones. But the real point is just voice acting. You don't realize until it comes to a big climax, and then it really hits you. Which is the same reason I I cried like a lot of sad things, like Squid Game. Squid Game with that one Korean girl in that one game, and she's just talking about all this stuff with the other girl, and she just talks about how she lost her sister, and after this game is over, we can go be a family together. And she would keep saying that, and then realize, oh, well, after this, I'm gonna be dead, or only one of us is gonna make it out, and that starts the waterworks. It's so sad, and I bawled my eyes out just watching that. And there's an anime out right now about idols, which seems kind of stupid. It's like pop idols, but there's one scene where one of the characters doesn't have a good time, and just when they talk or when they're saying their last words and it's happening, and I'm not really that sad at that point. I mean, I'm feeling it, but it's those final lines at the end that hit freaking hard, like right in the gut, like I'll see you later or something, that makes me cry, or I love you, or stuff like that.